It's like I'm at the Batu Caves in Kuala Lumpur with
We good?
monkeys climbing all over me.
Yes,
And
and
we
we are. Oh, okay, yeah, that's
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, very special edition.
On the road, finally on the road. Stand by with JJ and
Yeah,
Francisco.
here we are. We've finally taken our little podcast about travel and the arts.
We're all vaccinated, by the way.
Somewhere.
There's
We,
also vaccinated. A cat.
we happen to be at a destination, and the destination belongs to our guest.
Yes, because as a traveling podcast, we travel to the guests because that's what we do, right? Plus, that's why this beautiful cat is here, one of the guests of the guests.
I mean the cat belongs in this apartment as well. So
Right.
we are the outsiders. So let's why
She's
why
taking
waste-
my shot. This is like a very LA cat. You know, it just wants a shot, wants the
Yeah.
likes on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Why should we waste any more
Let's
time?
do
though?
it.
Let's have our esteemed guest enter his own living room. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen.
Get up
It's Thom Tran.
Thom Tran. Woo.
Here he is.
Thom Tran. He just woke up from his nap. Sorry, we broke up. We broke into his apartment. Yes, we broke in.
We've really excited Colby
Yeah,
here, dude.
she's definitely a attention whore.
How are you, man? How you doing?
Hey guys, what's up? Oh,
How's
she
it going?
she likes you, Francisco.
All right.
We didn't list your credits because we were distracted
Doesn't
by
matter.
a cat climbing over us
Doesn't
like
matter.
a monkey. But of course, Thom Tran is
Hey.
part of the GI Comedy Tour.
I created the GIs of Comedy Tour.
Oh,
created
the
GIs of
creator of the GIS Comedy Tour.
There we go.
Colby.
Well-traveled man, prestigious stand-up comedian, radio host,
Actor, you know,
actor.
most recently seen on the what's the CBS show, the United
United States of
NCIS.
Al.
the States
Oh,
of
yeah.
Well,
Al.
that's
Well,
that.
Well, you're
episode's
gonna be.
coming out.
It's coming out. Yeah.
Coming out.
Well, he just shot it.
Yeah,
He's gonna be on it. Do you know when?
June 24th.
June
the episode
24th.
drops.
Okay.
excellent.
Great. So check it out on
so there we
CBS.
have it.
Yeah.
This is the gentleman that's joining us today. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks
Yeah,
for
I do things.
thanks
So-
for
you do things.
Thanks,
yeah,
thanks
yeah.
for coming over. Thanks for traveling all the way to North Hollywood.
Yes,
Yeah.
we had to,
Oh, what a journey.
we had to
From
take our vaccine
Studio
passport.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. I went 4 stops on the subway.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So I did use the Los Angeles subway.
We have a
ladies and gentlemen.
subway.
Yeah.
So, which is
Yeah.
what most Los Angelinos say when I say that I use the
We
subway.
have one. We have
Do
one.
we?
We have one. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's
Yeah.
used by people like JJ, pretty much. Just
All right.
Yeah,
People that don't have cars and
stigma.
that like to, because everybody in LA has cars, right? It's
Yeah,
like, it's
pretty
that
much.
thing. So-
Well,
One of the
not
first things I was
everybody.
told when
There's-
I moved here was if you want to have a career in this town, you have to have a car.
oh, really?
Yeah.
They told me change my name and get a car. So
They
Yeah,
said be
there's the
white,
advice.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
dye your hair.
Frank Rams. Go by
That's
Frank
it.
Rams.
I can
know,
see
right?
them
Yeah.
telling you that
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well. No, weirdly enough, the subway's very efficient in this town, but
Yeah,
I don't
no, I
think
took it
anybody's
once.
checked
I took
for
it once to go
years.
to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. It was
Oh.
fun because
There you go.
like you could
Dating
like,
yourself a little bit. But yeah, go ahead.
because what?
Dating yourself a
Yeah,
little bit.
No,
but-
no, yeah, that's true. No, but Red Hot. I mean, they're
Yeah.
they're great. There's a great.
Yeah, but
band.
when was the last time they toured?
That was like 4 years ago.
Was
Like the last concert. Yeah. for
I'm
the
also
last-
old, so
Yeah.
if it wasn't Poison or Def Leppard, I
Oh,
don't.
Okay.
Oh,
no.
come on. You're
that-
not,
no,
you're
that's-
not
that's
that
the-
old.
yeah, yeah.
Come on.
The
that's
last
not-
concert I went to see was Journey and Def Leppard.
Yeah, but they're touring now, to be fair.
That's true.
Like, you
Oh,
could say.
Yeah, you can't be
know,
like when they start, like when they were just doing like.
Yeah.
All these bands are.
I was there
touring.
before Steve Perry.
yeah, that's when we started to go, okay, now we're dated.
But yeah, but thanks for having us. I mean, as you know, but this is a traveling podcast because also we love. Me and JJ were both immigrants to this country, and
am I.
and you too,
Yeah.
And this is what we're gonna talk
Don't
about.
leave me out of it.
Yeah, no. But the reason we started the podcast is because we're comics, we're the immigrants, and we're like, well, let's talk about traveling and being also from different cultures,
Mhm.
and love to talk about people that are comedies or musicians,
Yeah.
or stuff like that to learn about how do they deal with travel, what do they like
Right.
about travel, and all this stuff.
Yeah. Now, and a lot of our listeners at home and viewers at home, they know our background. So I'm from Canada originally,
Mhm.
Venezuela, and I know that you were born in Vietnam.
I
I
was.
don't know the story beyond that because obviously, you're American,
Right.
through and through. So, what was your journey coming to America?
I was born in Vietnam. My father was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He flew with the South Vietnamese Air Force and with the U.S. Air Force.
Wow.
After Saigon fell in '75, he was put in a prisoner of war camp, and he escaped and took my family to a refugee camp in Thailand, and then from there we got adopted, quote unquote, more like sponsored, but kind of adopted by a parish, a Catholic parish in Buffalo, New York, and then we got on a boat. We were literally boat people.
Oh, so you still had to be
Wow.
boat people even if you were adopted or sponsored.
Well, yeah,
in
yeah.
that extent.
And,
Yeah.
wait,
So it
how
was
how
just-
old were you?
I
At
was
this?
like 10 months old.
Oh, so you don't
I was a
remember anything?
baby.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything.
Okay.
And then we wound up in Buffalo, New York. So I grew up in Buffalo, New York. Where are you from in Canada?
Nova Scotia.
Okay. I'm actually my grandparents. Well, before they passed away, my whole family is in Montreal. Well,
All right.
scattered across Canada. So
Oh, okay.
my part of the family was the only part that grew up in the States.
Mm.
Okay,
like-
yeah.
The rest of my family left Vietnam before all the big fighting happened,
Right.
and they settled in Canada. And then when my
Ah.
family finally escaped, because my dad was a pilot, he was in the war.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they finally escaped, we went to Buffalo. So my whole family's in Canada. So
Oh.
All right.
for years,
And in French Canada too.
French Canada. Well, they're
I'm
scattered
so
all
sorry.
over.
No.
They're we were an NHL family. Like there
Right.
was a stretch of like 7 years that we didn't speak to each other between like October and May.
All right.
And God
Oh,
forbid
right.
your team make it into the finals, like the Stanley Cup. And
Oh,
like,
that's right, because the Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens.
Sabres, the
would've been-
Canadians. My
yeah,
brother moved to
right.
Boston, so he was a Bruins guy. I got family in Toronto, Ottawa,
Oh,
Winnipeg.
your whole family's in one division.
Yeah, yeah.
Why didn't somebody just move to Vancouver just so
They-
they could own the West Coast? Well, actually, you're in Los
Well,
Angeles
yeah,
now. So.
But yeah, there were years that we didn't speak to each other for like an entire
Oh,
season.
wow.
So you don't
that's-
speak because of the NH. because
Oh
of
my
the-
God, yeah. Oh
not,
my
Not
God.
because of other family issues.
Well, no, we have some of those family
Okay,
issues
okay.
now, thanks to the last 4 years of that previous presidency. But
Okay.
but yeah, there was a year where the Sabres, the Bruins, and the Habs were all in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it was just like, don't talk to me, piss off,
Right.
Grandpa. I don't want to see you until I graduate from high school.
Wow,
Yeah.
some people are passionate.
Yeah.
We were a serious hockey family.
Yeah, man. Well,
Wow.
that's-
To this
That's
day,
cool.
actually, one of my travel goals is to get to a game in every arena in the league.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
Have
cool.
you? Which one? So, what's your number right now?
I'm at 18.
Okay.
Oh, right
Yeah,
on. You
that's
know,
pretty
this is
good.
actually one of the big questions that we usually like to try to bring up on our podcast because
Oh.
we always ask No, that's a perfect segue because we always ask the comics how
That
they,
wasn't planned at all.
how they like to spend their
It
time.
wasn't.
No, it wasn't at all. But how they spend their time on the road, and a few comics have said they
Yeah.
love going to see the sports and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
and-
Baseball games and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would that be your number one
Like when
activity
you're on the
as you're
road?
touring around America?
If I can, actually, for a long time, I didn't tour unless it was hockey season.
Oh wow!
Oh, really?
Like I
Well,
didn't
you
tour
have that
during-
luxury. Fuck, I gotta go into
I-
like, hey, sorry, it's not the NHL season right now, but you still.
That
get
well,
a
that was
tour.
one of there was a year 2012. I had planned this insane like 15 city tour, and every city we went to was either an NHL town or within an hour of an NHL town, and every date we did was either the day before or the day after a game in an arena I hadn't gone to, and this was book solid. I was like ready to go.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened in 2012?
Well, other than the Olympics, I was living in London at the time. I was at the Olympics.
Something, another virus.
The NHL lockout.
Oh, was there a lockout that
There
year?
was a lockout that year.
So you
Ah, okay.
couldn't.
So I had a tour
Ah,
planned,
that
and
sucks.
the league locked out. So
Oh,
now
wow.
I was like, I even
Uh,
talked. My agent was like, "So you have a big fan base in Columbus?" I'm like, "I'm huge in Idaho." He goes, "Ohio?" I'm like, "Whatever, man. Just fucking send me like the Blue Jackets are playing. Just I'm gonna go." But then they locked out, and
Oh wow.
so now I had this tour. I'm like, I don't want to go to Winnipeg for no reason. My dad was like, "You can go see your family." I'm like, again, I don't want to go to Winnipeg for no reason. So I had like this tour. We had to do this
Ugh.
huge stateside tour. It was with the GIs of Comedy too,
Right.
and then we finished the tour, and then the Players Association agreed to a contract like the week after we finished the tour. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
maybe
Wow.
maybe it was all planned according to your tour.
Well, it was also
know,
the year
you're-
of the Mayan
The
calendar.
Mayan
So I was like,
Oh, that's right.
I wasn't sure the world was going to end, but I was prepared for it.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
okay.
right. I remember that John Cusack film.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that. That was
terrible movie.
Well, you
exactly
thought the
what was
first
it,
sign
yeah.
of the world ending was the NHL lockout.
Yes.
I was like, what, okay. I was like,
The players decided their
Yeah,
contract
that's
was
like,
good
all right,
enough,
the world's about to
and
end.
that was the
All
first
right.
sign of the apocalypse. Yes, that
That's
was
in the
my
Bible.
thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
And you mentioned family in Winnipeg too, because it just as an aside, that's who's playing Montreal right now. So your your
nice.
family must be kicking off right now. In
Yeah.
the, in
Probably.
the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
there's a
beating
lot
each
of
other.
and you
cussing going on.
mentioned, so you mentioned the GIs of Comedy, which is a group of military veterans, right? That perform comedy, and you started that group, right?
Right.
So how did that happen? How did you like come up with the idea and all that stuff? You know?
So I'm an Army vet.
Yeah.
Combat wounded, Purple Heart recipient, United States Army.
Yeah. Wow. We got to talk about all this other stuff.
And
too, but-
I was medically retired from the Army after I got shot in Iraq, and then
wow. Okay. So wait. I mean, we can't just jump over. I
was
mean,
gonna
like you're
glance
Well,
over
no,
it.
we're
you're
not
giving
gonna-
away
we're not
like.
gonna skirt over it.
But
like-
but we gotta talk about it. Like, okay, so you got shot
Got
in
shot in
Iraq.
Iraq.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a war, but like,
Yeah.
who did it? I mean,
What do you
his
mean?
name was,
I
his
don't
name was
know.
Jeff.
Yeah.
He was
no, I don't
in
know
a
how
pissy
they,
mood that day.
Jeff was that about the NHL lockout.
He was a soccer guy. Got tired of me talking shit about soccer. No, I was in the Army. I deployed to Iraq 2003, first year of the war.
Oh, wow.
So
And how old were you at this time, if you want to
25,
say?
20,
Oh, okay.
24. Oh God, how old was I? I retired when I was 26, so 23.
Man, that's
maybe?
nice, retiring at 26.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
Well,
not nice that
I
you
mean,
got
yeah.
shot.
I had to get shot in the head for it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Oh, silver lining Ramos over
Wow.
here. Just, must be nice. Tell us again about the headache you had. Is that what it was
Yeah.
that made you
a
retire?
little bump. My dad actually told my mom I hit my head on a door because she saw a photo of me with a bandage on my head.
So she
Oh,
didn't
wow.
know.
He didn't want. When I called after
So I guess we should clarify.
we're jumping all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, let's just.
So
yeah.
I deployed to Iraq in 2003. I was OpCon to a team from 5th Special Forces Group, and we went on a mission. April 3rd, 2003. It was a couple days after I got into Iraq. 4 days actually after I got.
Like
into
you
Iraq.
just like got there and like
We
right
crossed-
away.
We
So-
crossed the border on a Sunday, and my first mission outside
Across the border
wire
to where?
from Kuwait into Iraq.
Oh.
My first mission outside the wire was on Thursday, April 3rd.
Because also like they don't give you so right away as soon as you go in there they like go like they don't give you like a week of like I don't know. I don't know how.
What, to party and
I don't
hang
know.
out?
I've never been
That's
in
not
mail.
how it
First,
works.
I don't
first
know
we
how-
have a kegger down by the river.
No,
but
I mean
in
I'm like
2
get
days,
used to the time zone.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, no, in his defense, he's right because
Yeah.
we got to Kuwait in January of 2003. The war didn't
Okay.
start till March.
Oh, okay.
So we were in January and we were in Kuwait ramping up.
Got it. So
calling
you
it
were
ramping
okay.
up.
Okay.
Right.
And then the war popped off, I think, March 22nd.
Okay.
And about a week later, my team, because my unit got chopped off to a bunch of different units, meaning a team went over to work with the Brits, a team went to work for the 82nd Airborne, another team went to work for
They like
Just
to
the-
help all the other ones. you
yes,
know?
augment with our particular set of skills, which is a
Oh.
weird thing to say because
Yeah, very taken.
not taken, not
No.
very taken. I was
What-
a radio
what-
guy.
You were the radio guy.
Yeah, I was a communications sergeant. So I was
Oh.
super smart on like I'm a nerd, so like I was super smart on radios. I mean, I
I
work
mean,
on
That's
radio.
what my
That's-
grandfather was.
That's great to
communications.
know now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much technology now.
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
you're
that's
not.
why I still
yeah,
have a
so
career in
you
radio.
who has the laugh. But like, so you were like, okay, so you got 3 days after they send you with you
He's
cro-
on his first mission.
First mission,
First mission.
with who you
5th
were?
Special Forces Group.
Okay.
So I was attached to them, and they took us out on a recon mission. And on that recon mission, we drove into a gunfight, and I got shot.
Wow. So you were just driving, and all of a sudden somebody started shooting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Well, there's a lot more to it than that. There was already a gunfight happening, and we drove into it.
Oh, as I was reading too.
but
it was
why-
a sniper bullet was. Am I
Yeah.
correct? that took you in the head.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
there were a group of Marines in that area already engaged in a firefight,
Okay.
but because the Marines didn't want to fucking radio and tell the rest of the
They should have known. Hey, we're getting
Yeah.
shot. Don't
Yeah.
come here.
either they didn't, for whatever reason they didn't, or they weren't on the right.
Frequency.
Yeah, that's the easy way of setting it, because it's secured communications.
Mm-hmm.
So either they weren't on the right secure frequency, or they just didn't radio us. We didn't know that they were engaged in a gunfight, so we drove into it.
Oh man.
And so one of the
They
things,
were basically an FM. You guys were an AM.
something like
And
that.
you're like, what?
You know what? That
I
is
was.
a great
They're
way
like,
to put it.
they're like driving. They're like, well, we don't hear anything. Let's keep going.
That's a great way to put it. But so we were in a convoy with a couple of SF gun trucks, Special Forces gun trucks, and a couple of FID gun trucks. And it's one of the things people don't understand about the Special Forces mission is,
I mean, I'm not understanding anything you're saying
Okay.
right now of your vocabulary. I'm like, I'm trying to like pretend I'm nodding, like pretending I'm like fake. Yeah, I know what that is.
no. So
You're
FID,
still angry that there wasn't a good time before the war.
there was a good time before the war.
Okay.
So FID stands for Foreign Internal Defense. So the
Okay.
mission of a Special Forces team, which is a 12-man team. It's a 12-man Special Forces ODA team. 12-man team that does the job of a 500-man regular infantry.
And you were one of those 12?
I was attached to that team.
Okay.
So one of their main jobs is called Foreign Internal Defense, which means they train the local indigenous population of a country to fight that war. So instead of sending
Yeah.
in an entire group or battalion of Special Forces soldiers, you send in 12 to do, the door kicking and the counterintelligence, but their main job is to teach the local militia to fight that war. So they're augmenting the force.
Yeah, this is, by the way, I'm gonna put this as what I saw from The Last Samurai when Tom Cruise goes in and helps.
Please,
Is it
yes.
kind of like that? I mean,
Kind of like that.
yeah, he's
kind of.
kind of like he would be part of the special forces because he was teaching everybody how
Yes,
to
he's
use
actually
guns.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So the problem is,
That's where you learn all your military tactics.
Yes.
Is it?
The
The
From
Last
Hollywood
Samurai,
movies.
starring Tom Cruise.
Perfect.
So because their job includes training foreign internal defense forces,
Mhm.
we were in a convoy with 2 or 3 Iraqi gun trucks. So the Marines, who were already in a gunfight, saw a truck full of Iraqis
So
with
they thought-
AK-47s being trailed by a convoy of Army Special Forces. So they're like, well, we're being flanked. So they start shooting.
Oh.
Our guys start shooting. The guys that the Marines were shooting at in the first place start shooting. And then
Jeez.
it's a shit show.
Holy shit.
So everybody
that's-
was shooting at each other. So you don't know who shot you.
Not officially, no. The
Wow.
the
they
report
don't
I
figure
got.
out if it was friendly fire or if it
Well, it
was
was
the
from a
enemy.
7.62, so that's a higher caliber round than American forces shoot. We shoot
Right.
fire 5.56 out of like an M4
So
or an
pretty
M16.
sure it was the enemy then.
Yeah. So it was a 7.62. They know that.
And you were just a radio guy.
Yes.
I mean, but you were like also ready to.
Yes.
You know, it's not like you were.
Everybody's got a role. But
Yeah.
I mean,
this is-
I was just the cook, as Steven Seagal would
yeah,
say.
yeah. That's what I was gonna.
Yes.
But by the way, I also got shot in Afghanistan.
oh no, don't do this.
No, it's true. I mean, I did, like the, entertaining for the
Right, right.
troops,
Yeah.
and we're in
No, the gig didn't go well.
no, but we
got shot.
was like we were going from another base to another base, and we were flying, and then in this.
Oh,
like,
you mean you got
military-
shot at?
Yeah, I got shot at. I
Okay,
didn't
you
get
did
shot.
say you got
Yeah.
shot.
Well, I mean, no, I didn't get shot.
Clever clarifying.
Would have been nice, and I would have been retired by this time. No,
All right, easy there, head wound Francisco.
no, but I got so we were flying, and then all of a sudden, like, there's like flares coming out of the plane, and I was like, and then all the guys who were military just grabbed their guns,
Yep.
and I was with like Byron Bowers and I forget his name, Trey. Oh yeah, we were like, we got scared. Yeah, shit. Byron was like, whatever.
I think sometimes they
I'm-
do that to put a show on. Too,
No,
for
no,
the
no,
comics,
because the
they
guys
always go,
got like that,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, what I always remember is like we asked this guy who was next to it. He's like, dude, aren't you like scared? Because we're like scared because I was like, fuck, I came here to do shows and I'm gonna get killed. The guy's like, hey, if we die, we die. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I went back to Iraq in 2008 to do stand up.
Yeah.
With 2 cats one from Texas, Jerry.
Rocha.
No, not Jerry Rocha. Jerry. God damn, I
Garcia?
can't remember his last name. And Chris something from Indianapolis. Anyway, so I was the only guy who had any like military
Yeah.
training
I mean, you
experience,
were, yeah.
and we were in a couple of Blackhawks flying back from a gig,
Uh-huh.
and from the corner of my eye, I see a flash, and then I grabbed my seat, and both Blackhawks banked hard.
So you knew already.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
the birds banked, and then Jerry goes, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "I'll tell you when we get back, because you don't want to know right now."
Right. Well,
So-
that's what they told me because when they obviously when they were like, oh, that was nothing, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then when I got here,
Yeah.
they were like, no, if they threw flares, it's because they actually shot
Yeah,
it.
Alright.
they threw
No,
flares
So
to
they did
throw
it
off
with-
the whatever RPG was firing at us.
Yeah.
So we landed, and he was like, "What was that?" I was like, "It's an RPG." He goes, "What's that?" It's like a rocket-propelled grenade. He goes, "Don't they know we're comedians?" I'm like, "They don't. There's no smiley face on the side of
Not
the
like,
fucking
oh,
Black
that one's
Hawk.
okay.
It says U.S. Army. It doesn't have a fucking
yeah,
like
yeah.
yellow face with a smile on it." He's like, "Well, we're just comics." I was like, "They don't give a shit."
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I've done a lot of I've done the decompression for the troops out in Cyprus and stuff like that. But they see
what is
sometimes
that?
they play. Well, it's the opposite of what you wanted, which is the good time that you get after you're in theater from the war. They actually have to send a lot of the troops. It's a lot of setup in Cyprus, but it's to get them to decompress before they go back to their home countries.
Oh, got it.
Oh,
So a
I
lot
didn't
of-
get any of that.
A lot of
You
well,
didn't get any of that?
Nope.
the British might need it more than the Americans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. The Brits. Yeah, yeah.
Because the British have a really bad reputation for going home. They, the spousal abuse and everything when if they
Ah.
return
No, we
directly
have
from
that
theater.
problem
So I
too.
know you
Yeah,
have that
yeah,
problem
yeah.
too. Sorry, I wasn't at all trying to be
No,
like,
we definitely have
but
that problem.
but basically, when the troops that we were with, they would do that sometimes as a prank to make us feel that we were under threat,
Oh, got it,
and
got
they
it.
would admit it later on,
Yeah.
after they get their one beer and are hanging out with us after the show. They're like, yeah, we weren't actually under threat.
Yeah.
We just wanted to terrify you guys, and it fucking
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
It,
No,
uh,
it was
does
scary.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But so then you got so after you got shot, like, like, I mean, it was
I was
like
back to work in a week.
that's, but like you got shot in the head.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, what?
Yeah.
Like
Were
I would have
they
been
were
like,
they recommending
out.
that you at least do a little rehab and relaxation?
That
and
week was my rehab.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I
but is
had-
that a thing that okay? So is that a
I
thing
mean-
like somebody's pushing you, or you going like, no, I'm
No,
good.
it was me.
That was
me.
all you.
Yeah, I remember the night I got shot. I climbed in the back of our big, we call it an LMTV. It's a big truck, basically. And I sat down with my team sergeants, and I was like, "Hey guys, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel after today, but I'm going back to work tomorrow." And they're like, "At least a week." So,
Wow.
Jeez.
because I had 18 and 19-year-old kids that were like just out of high school and basic training and advanced training who were like, "Shit, our sergeant just got shot." Like the fourth day, like if I felt like if I had left, if I had freaked out and left, well, those kids had no hope
Right.
because
So you did it. Okay. Okay.
so I was like,
So
my
it's-
job as an NCO, non-commissioned officer, is to take care of these kids. That's one of my jobs.
Oh, okay.
So if I
okay.
leave, well then they either don't have a leader or they're going to get chopped out to a different platoon or a
Oh,
different team,
got it,
and
got it,
God
got it.
knows those guys had
Which
more
is
shit on
true
their
because when
hands.
I went to there, that's one thing that kind of like a little shock for me was when after the shows, you would meet the military personnel, and they're like, some of them were like literally like,
They're
yeah, like
babies.
kids, and I was like, wow, like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, like kids, and I
Yeah,
was like, what are
18
you
years old,
doing?
they're
Yeah.
babies.
They don't
Let's
know. I
not,
mean, yes.
let's not forget at home that stand-up comedy is the hardest job in the world. Everybody, there's it.
It feels a lot like combat. Sometimes.
Yeah. Wow. And
well,
then,
buddy, thank you so much for your service. That's it.
yeah, that's
a given.
awesome. I mean,
that's
and
amazing
now
to
it
put
makes sense
yourself
for you to
on
be
the
like,
line.
because I'm going like, why did you not? But you're like, no, I had to as a leader to these kids, and like, oh, okay, so that's really good of you to be able to be like, you know what, I have to stay for them because so that's awesome. So then so how did the whole GIS of Comedy kind of like then idea started or like began?
So we'll fast forward to me moving to Los Angeles. I came home, I retired from the Army.
After how long time? How much?
A
Time?
year. I had like a year left on my contract, but because I was combat ineffective, they were just like, "Don't do this anymore." That's the short way of saying what happened. So I had a heart attack when I was 26,
What?
and my doctors at the VA said, "Hey man, what?"
Has nothing to do with the shop.
Oh no, not directly, but like I came home, my roommate had been killed right before I left Iraq. I had
Oh.
friends killed after I got home. And I retired, and I was like, well, now what do I do? Because I just spent like the last decade of my life
Yeah, because
as a soldier.
When did you start it as a soldier and being in the military?
I enlisted when I was 18. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, while I was still in high school. And
Oh,
then I
wow.
left right after high school. So now I was not in the Army anymore. I was drinking a lot, like
Are
we
you a
do.
military family? Then, if your father
Yep.
your father was okay,
My dad was, and grandpa. And
Did you
uncle.
do it because of that?
Not directly,
No, it's
but
just
partly.
partly.
Um, I mean, it was. I mean, also you gotta understand, my family came from a communist country where my father was a prisoner of war fighting for freedom in his own country,
Yeah.
and we got to come to the United States. Like, I got this opportunity to do this thing that at some point all of our families got the opportunity to do,
Mhm.
but a lot
Yeah.
of people have forgotten that. They've
Mm.
forgotten that 100 years ago their families came from Ireland, or
Yeah.
200 years ago their families came from England,
Yeah.
or
To
there's
find,
their families, like, they forget that this opportunity was given to them.
Mhm.
But I am 40 years old, and that opportunity came 38 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my father was a prisoner of war. My grandfather was killed in the war. My uncle was killed in the war. So it's not something that I forgot.
Yeah.
So it was partly, I'm going to give back to this country that has adopted me and given me the opportunity to
Yeah.
literally tell dick jokes for a living. Like, I
Mhm.
bought a house with money I used telling dick
Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah.
So I feel
So
like
this is the house that Dick built.
literally the
that
house that Dick
Dicks
built.
have built.
Yes, this is the house that Dick's built. There's
I mean, Dicks, several Dicks.
at least a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the reasons to join the army. But then I got home, I drank, and I got fat, and I drank some more, and I got even fatter, and had a heart attack when I was like 26. And the doctor was like, "Hey man, when was the last time you smiled?" I was like, 2002, before the war started. This was like 2006.
Wow.
So he's like, "You gotta." I remember my girlfriend at the time had to take me to the VA because I was like, my fucking arm hurts, like my chest hurts, something
Oh.
smells funny. She was a doctor at the
shit.
time, so she's like,
Ah.
"Okay, well, we have to go to the doctor right
Was and the heart attack was due to just being depressed?
now." Depression, alcoholism, just
Wow.
like I was
So
eating
it was
steaks every
just-
day. I mean,
So it wasn't something. So what's? I mean, it's funny because sometimes you think heart attacks is kind of like a thing that genetically
Well, he's saying
happens.
His diet was really bad.
Yeah, no,
oh,
that's what I'm
if
saying.
you've
He was
seen
like-
pictures of me when I was 26,
yeah, I haven't.
it's fucking wild.
Yeah, because you're like so in shape right now. So I'm always seeing ever since I met you, you've always been like in shape. So I
Yeah, I
never-
mean, before I started doing stand up, I started like kind of getting my shit together.
Yeah.
Like, I started playing in bands. Then I was like, I don't like people, so I need to do a thing that I can do by myself.
This is a situation where you
Standing.
had to hit rock bottom before you went.
It very
"All
much
right,
was.
It's time now.
Very-
Now I can go back and climb out of this. Like
Yeah.
like a phoenix. And,
Exactly. I went on
Yeah.
a vacation with a girlfriend, the same one that took me to the hospital, and there's a photo of us on a beach in Mexico, and I looked at that photo and I was like, "Who the fuck is that? That is unacceptable."
And you were talking about your girlfriend.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, "Who is that guy with her? Where am I? Why am I taking this picture?"
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there's a photo of me, and there's a before and after photo of me. I think I posted one on my Instagram on my birthday this year, where it was like me at 26 or whatever it was. I was like 200 pounds,
Wow.
and just
Nice.
it was unacceptable as a soldier for me to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I was like, all right, well, I gotta get myself back in literally fighting shape. So
Man, is there anything about you that's not inspirational? Because what the fuck?
Yeah, man, I was like-
serves this country.
I mean, I always feel bad like making jokes. I'm trying to like give it like, what about this? But then he goes back and says something even. He goes back saying something even nicer, and I'm like, well, that joke sucked.
Holy shit!
It's like, fuck.
Hey, Francisco and I
Yeah.
are gonna go into a spiral of depression. What have we done?
Yeah, I'm always trying to be like, well, like
we
this-
could have skipped this whole thing.
We've
Remember
got-
when
we
I was
got-
like, we're gonna glance over the gunshot and go
No,
right
no,
to
no,
comedy? This was your fault.
This is the reason, like, I didn't advance on Last Comic Standing. I didn't have anything like this. I mean, like, well, I came from Venezuela and learned English.
and I'm here
and
now.
I'm here now. And he's like, well, I got shot. It's like, okay.
No,
No, but like, so then how did the whole, so after all this,
Okay, so I
GIS of
started
Comedy,
doing stand up comedy. I was on the road for a while. I
and
started,
that's something you always wanted to do, or
Nope,
just,
never.
why did you pick stand-up?
So I loved stand up comedy, but it was never a thing that I was like, I'm gonna do this. It was
Okay.
never in my
But you were a
wheelhouse.
fan of it.
Oh yeah, I was 7 when I saw Delirious.
Okay.
Because my parents are terrible at their job, and they let a 7-year-old fucking watch Delirious. But I loved doing comedy. So when I was in college, I took a class called Voice and Diction because I work on the radio, and this class was supposed to help you find your voice.
Nice. I would have taken.
Right.
I should have taken something. like that.
So the final project was the teacher wanted you to take a scene from your favorite movie and do it in your own voice. Like my buddy Sean did a scene from Boiler Room or whatever. And I said, hey, I've always liked stand-up comedy. Can I try writing stand-up comedy? Can I do that as my final project? And he said, yeah, you got 4 months to do it. Because he gave us a syllabus day one, and he said, this is your final project. So I said, you got 4 months to do it. And it took me 4 months and 5 hours to write 6 minutes of material.
Yeah.
And
Without trying it.
well, I mean, I still do my jokes when I write them the same way I did them then. I will write the jokes out, and then I will drive around and do the jokes out loud in my car in the voice of William Shatner.
Wow.
Because
Hey, that's
then
a
it sounds
layered
different.
process.
Because then it's not me telling the jokes. It's William Shatner doing it. But I'm also finding the pacing and the pauses and
Yeah.
the inflections.
That's a very unique process.
But I'm
though, I
not
would
hearing.
say.
Yeah, I'm not hearing me do it. I'm
Right,
hearing
yeah.
Shatner do it.
Yeah.
So that's how I did that in that class.
Yeah.
And,
Because I was going to say, because that technically does mean that your first gigs were in front of a classroom, which I
technically,
would
yeah.
think that's a weird that's not even that's not a comedy audience.
No, it was
Definitely
a theater
bunch of
audience.
Students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it going well. But my buddy Sean, who is now no, he's in Denver now. He was out here. He was a podcast producer out here for a while. He came on my old podcast and he was like, "You killed." I was like, "I don't remember that because I blanked out.
Yeah.
I wish I had it on video. I've actually found I wrote out
Like the
that
notes.
set,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but it's word for word.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, because that was my first time doing stand up. But I
Mm.
found it, and it's fucking terrible. It is the
Right.
worst shit ever. But he said I did really well. And then,
Can I just say, like, because I do have a health degree and
Right.
everything, but I would rather speak for my end assignments in university. So I did a lot of verbal assignments and stuff. I had to do one which was the history of leisure, and I did the history of witchcraft.
nice.
And it was kind of, and I went and got some dried ice and did an effect and had some
Right.
Steve Vai music playing and had a few jokes. And I actually had a couple jokes that I've used in my stand-up career since then. But I relate to that story because for me in those classes, it was an option though. You could write a paper or you could
Right.
do a 5-minute thing. And I found it interesting how few people
Mhm.
would rather talk
Well,
through their projects.
you know the
than
saying,
hand
like
in.
more people would rather die than have to stand up in front of an audience and talk. I mean, we are, by virtue of what we do, we're like
The
just
exceptions.
the exception to the
Mhm.
rule. So I did stand up. I did that. That was in college. That was my first time. I think I did a set at another comedy club once, and then Iraq happened, and then I deployed, and then
Wow.
nothing was funny for 4 years.
Mhm.
So when I came home, I started working on the radio, back on the radio, and the guy that worked on the morning show with me owned a comedy club, and
And this was where?
this was in Buffalo, New York, and it was my home comedy club because he came to me one day and he's like, "Hey, we need somebody to host radio station night," and it's literally just get on stage before the comic and goes, "Hey, welcome to 97 Rock Nights. I'm Tom. Here are your specials." Like it's just a thing radio people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he knew that, I liked comedy, so he gave me a shot, and then he would feed me jokes, and then I got a little better, and then a little better, until somebody finally took me on the road, and then I was a road comic for a little while, and then I moved to New York for a hot minute. I did not like the smell of the Hudson River in August. I was like, I'm out. I came to LA to visit on vacation. A friend of mine from high school lived in Redondo Beach. So I came to visit just to see what the scene was like out here.
Mhm.
Did my first spot ever at the store in the belly room.
Mm.
Noel El Grabli
Yeah.
booked it. I got the gig off of Craigslist.
Oh,
It was a
really?
bringer. I didn't know what a bringer was. 'cause
Yeah.
Craigslist.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Hold on. They put gigs in
Yeah.
Craigslist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember watching,
Yeah.
seeing that stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learn more about the LA comedy scene all the time.
But it was
It's under casual encounters. By the way.
yeah missed
Tracks.
missed opportunities.
Tracks.
So I did a set at the in the belly room. It had to be 2007. Yeah, it had to be 2007. And They remember I was a road guy. Like I didn't know what a bringer show was. I'd never heard of a bringer show.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it's a bringer show, so just bring some people. I was like, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I'm visiting. And I talked my buddy and his roommates into coming to see my set. And I still have this on video, and thank God that I do.
Nice.
But now, again, I'm a road comic, and I lived in New York for a little while, like fighting for spots there. And then I come to LA, and the kid that went up before me, and hand to God, I have this on video, and it's somewhere on my Facebook page. The kid before me ends his set with, "Hey, everybody, if you liked my set, do me a favor, give me a big round of applause because my agents are here." I thought it was a setup for a joke.
Yeah.
And he had papered the room with his friends because he had representation there, and he had an ascot on.
Oh,
It looked like a gayer version of Freddy from Scooby-Doo.
wow.
And that's how he ended his set. And I remember thinking, if that's what comedy is in LA, I'm going to fucking rule this town. So I went up after him, and it was, they cheered because they were his friends.
Yeah.
The people who weren't were confused.
Yeah.
And I went up, and I took a flamethrower to the Comedy Store.
Nice.
What I thought was a flavor, because
Yeah.
I watched that video now, I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But it was also fucking 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But I also went up after a kid who asked people to
Yes.
clap
Yeah,
for
that's
him.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
like
after
Jeb
that,
Bush.
oh my God, please.
Please applaud.
Please applaud.
Please applaud.
So I did that set,
Very important.
and I was like, well, this is the place I have to be. Because
Got
if
it.
that's because in New York, I'm competing against
Yeah.
Chris Rock, fucking
Patrice
Colin Quinn,
O'Neill, yeah.
Patrice O'Neill,
Yeah.
Jim Norton. Like, I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
not get a spot in the city to
Yeah.
save my life.
Yeah.
And then my first spot in LA, I got to go up against this kid. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going back, and I'm taking all my shit, and I'm moving back here. And I did.
Yeah.
Went home, like I went back to New York, packed up my shit, went to see my dad in Buffalo, and I was like, hey, remember how I said I was moving to New York? Well, I'm moving to LA. So
And what did he say?
he was like, my dad is the fucking, I don't know if he just gave
Because
up.
we're talking
for a while.
upstate New York where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were living, right?
Yeah,
So
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
So it's actually right. So that's for anybody who doesn't know, that's being close to the Canadian border. But
I could see Canada from my
Right.
apartment. Literally see Canada. I look over the Niagara River and I could see
Yeah.
Fort Erie. So
He could see the free healthcare.
I still have a fake ID from high school because you only have to be 19 to drink in
Yeah.
Ontario.
In Ontario, right?
Yeah. So I just have a fake ID from high school that says I was
Nice.
19.
That's so wild.
Nice.
I lived in Victoria for a while in British Columbia.
Right.
I'm a military kid,
Okay.
so my whole family's military. So we always got posted every
Right.
3 years. But when I was in Victoria, I went to Seattle to get my fake IDs.
Oh,
So we've
nice.
each got these stories like
Oh.
sneaking over the border. Only I went from Canada to America because there was a guy in Seattle who
Right.
would do the fake IDs. Then I could take it back to
Right.
Canada
That's
to
nice.
use it.
I have the
then-
greatest Tim Hortons story.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah?
from Buffalo. So
Yeah,
Tim
yeah.
Hortons is a hot dog, or it's
Yeah.
a coffee place. You know Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
He used the guy Tim Horton actually used to play for the Buffalo Sabres. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
so we're from Canada and Buffalo, big Tim Hortons fan. So we did a gig at Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Nowhere near Canada
Yeah.
or Buffalo. We get in and we go to the hotel and we're like, hey, we need some coffee. Like, we just flew in. We got to go talk to the colonel. Like, where can we get coffee? And this lady goes, there's a place around the corner. Just go down the street, turn right. We go down there, and it's a fucking Tim Hortons on Fort Knox in Kentucky. Kentucky. It's
Yeah.
Kentucky. No reason. There's no hockey team. There's nothing.
How
Nowhere
many
nearby.
Tim Hortons are there
Yeah.
in America? Period.
Like 9.
Yeah,
And 8 of them are in Buffalo.
yeah, exactly.
So me and another guy from the GIs were both from Buffalo, and we
Okay.
are freaking out at this point because we both live in LA. We haven't
Yeah.
had Tim Hortons in a decade. We're like, why is there a Tim Hortons here?
Yeah.
And we grabbed the manager. We're like, we need to know. And apparently, so while some troops were from Fort Knox were in Afghanistan, they were working with the CFB, Canadian
yeah.
Forces. The Canadians had a mobile Tim Hortons. And when the Canadians left, they took that mobile Tim Hortons with them. So the troops from Fort Knox, like, fucking boycotted. They're like, we're not working until, I don't know how they
Oh,
did this because
wow.
it's the army, but they were like, we're going to, do
Till
the
we get a
minimum
Tim
until we get a
Hortons?
Tim
Oh
Hortons.
no, this
Jeez.
isn't gonna help. Canadians are gonna start to think they're sane.
And
all the Canadians with their Tim Hortons addictions are
the-
gonna go, we're justified now.
Yeah. Well, the colonel was like, Okay, listen, I'll tell you what. You guys kick ass the rest of this deployment, and there'll be a Tim Hortons waiting for you when you get back.
Wow.
So he kept his word. The soldier's like, cool. We'll finish this mission. We'll kick ass, and then there's gonna be a Tim Hortons when we get back. So there's a Tim Hortons on Fort
That's
Knox,
crazy.
Kentucky, because of the Canadians.
Wow. See that?
It's magical stuff, the old Tim Hortons, man.
So anyway, I moved to LA. I did that set. I moved to LA in May 2008 to do stand-up comedy, to make a living as a stand-up comic, which I didn't know you can't do
In LA, yeah. In New York, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
You
in New York
can
'cause
live
you're doing-
off because you don't have to. As people don't know, in stand-up in New York, there's so many spots, and you make a decent
Yeah.
money, and you can live. But here, no.
If
I
you
always have
do-
to tell people this is a showcase town.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that. It's
Yeah,
a
which is a way for
showcase
for
town.
people to use. So
Yeah, we're gonna use you for free.
Yeah, in New York, if you do 5 or 6 shows a night and you're making $100 a spot,
yeah,
you know,
and
can
you
make a decent
multiply
living.
it. Yeah, you can live. Yeah.
But I didn't know that because I was a
Mm.
road comic.
Yeah.
And I lived in New York, so I did not know that you could not actually make a living
Yeah.
doing comedy.
Just
so
doing here, just being here.
yeah, so I did the actor thing, I did the consulting thing, I did some military consulting, I worked on some movies, and I went back to work on the radio.
Okay.
To
As a host, DJ.
it was like a part-time reporter and DJ.
Okay.
And then an opportunity came up on K Earth 101, which is the big station out here. They were doing a benefit for the Bob Hope USO at LAX with the Laugh Factory, and they were looking for the world's funniest service member. So it was like, hey, a bunch of comics or a bunch of veterans who want to be comics, they're gonna compete, right?
Guys,
They didn't know that I was a
like you're actually
touring
a comic. Yeah.
comic. So it was like a bunch of dudes who wanted to do stand up,
Like, yeah.
and then,
And then you.
me, and I was the ringer. So I won 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And the third year they went, you can't do this again. Like you can't keep coming back because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna win.
Yeah, yeah.
So I stopped. But after that first year, because one of the things I wanted to do after I left the Army was like I wanted to keep serving. I was an NCO. I was a non-commissioned officer. My job was to take care of soldiers. So I wanted to go back to Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever and perform for the troops because there hasn't been a name in military entertainment like Bob Hope since Bob Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the Robin Williams and the Rob Riggles, and you get dudes going back, but there hasn't been a Bob Hope. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's called the Bob Hope USO
Yeah.
at LAX. So I had met some comics that night who were veterans.
Yeah.
So I got this idea in my head for a group of comedians who were military veterans because, as comics, the best way to relate to an audience or the best way to get laughs is if you can get the audience to relate to you.
Of course.
And you make your material relatable. Well, I was in Iraq when I had entertainers coming to perform for us. And it was really hard for an 18-year-old to relate to a stoner comic from New York City who was over there.
Yeah,
to
you're
get a
talking
paycheck.
about stuff that has like, dude, I
Right.
just got shot
Right.
yesterday. It's like
So when I decided, hey, this is a niche. Like there's no group
Yeah.
of comedians that are all veterans with combat experience. I mean, I have combat experience. I think 2 or 3 of our guys have combat experience. But I decided I want to put this group together and I wanted
Nice.
to make it a thing. And then I didn't know how to do it because I was like new to LA.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody. I wasn't passing any clubs. This is how long ago this was. John Lovett's Comedy Club.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah. Do
That's-
you remember that?
that was just closing when I first moved here.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's
Yeah,
so-
I did with
yeah.
where the stage was. You were basically like 10 feet above the
Yep.
audience,
And
You
20
were-
feet below the other 2 floors.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
Yeah, it was very weird, but it was right over here.
Yeah, and Universal
University.
City. Yeah.
And it was I mean, I can say this now because it's not open and it doesn't fucking matter. It was the worst fucking club.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I mean, it was a good club, but it was like to hang out. You couldn't hang out.
And
It was
it's
tw-
reopening, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen. It's
And here's John Lovitz. But it was $20 to park,
Yeah, it was
and
too
you had
much.
to park way over here, and
And also, like, it was funny because you would think, like, oh, a lot of foot traffic is gonna come. Nobody would come
No.
because everybody's there to go to Universal
they're-
Studio stuff.
yeah.
It's like nobody wants to do
Right.
because that was it used to be the BB King
used to be BB King's Blues Bar.
Blues Bar. So
Right.
that's why. So
Right. That's
Yeah,
why
which-
the setup was the way it was.
The way it was, yeah.
But I made some good friends, and I learned. It's where I met all the Latino comics who all called me Thomas.
Yeah.
I was like, it's Tom. They're like, Thomas. I'm like, "All right, whatever." But that's where I met the second GI of Comedy, because I'm the first one.
Can I guess? Jose Sarduy?
It was Jose Sarduy.
Yeah.
I was there on a date, and
At the club?
yeah, well, we were at Universal.
Oh, got it.
And then I was like, hey, she was like, aren't you a comic? So we went over there.
Got it.
And we popped in, and there's this Cuban guy on stage,
Mhm.
and he was pretty funny. And then he starts talking about being in the Air Force, and I went, well, this is, I got this idea in my head, and I needed to find, because the other comics that I'd met at the Balbo thing, they were very green.
New,
They were very good.
Yeah,
They
you
were
need
not-
people that have done it, but also are in the military. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
And that was at the time pretty hard to find.
Yeah.
Now it is. They're being
now there's like a lot. Yeah. It's like
There
now
were-
you meet so many now.
Yeah. There are two groups that spun off of mine.
Oh,
because
really?
I
Wow,
fired-
you're like I was gonna say like a singer, like I don't know, something like a singer, like a band, and then
solo artist? No.
Yeah.
Well, I fired some people. No, it doesn't matter.
Oh.
But so I approached him. I actually left my date. I was like, I gotta go talk to this guy. Real quick. So I went over to Jose. I told him what I was doing, and he was new. He was new to town. He was only been in town for a couple of months, and I was in town for like 2 years. But for that first 2 years, I was doing TV shows and movies and shit like that. So I was basically new to the stand-up scene.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, man, I want to do this thing. He gave me his number, and we connected. And then I started recruiting a couple of other guys.
Nice.
And that was 2010. And then by 2012, we did our first stateside tour. We did a bunch of stuff here in LA. We did like the Improv. And I mean, our very, very first show was the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club. And that was to get ready for our big show at Lovitz.
That's
Right.
So we actually sold out all
Oh,
three
wow.
floors. Because it was
Wow.
like, it was a niche thing at the time. It was
Yes.
like a bunch of
And you would get
militaries.
like a bunch of military
Oh,
people to come.
Hell yeah, I had the recruiting battalion sent all
Wow.
this stuff. So we
Oh,
did
that's
that, and then we got some hot press from like the AP and CNN, ABC News, and a bunch of other folks did stories on us.
Nice.
And then we did a little stateside tour, like Jersey and then Texas.
Yeah, so that brings up the question. Then you put in a lot of road miles and stuff doing that tour, and then you also tour as a musician as well.
Yeah.
You perform as a musician. So I'm dying at it because we when we have our musical guests on, I love to ask.
I was a music comic for a while.
Oh, were you?
Oh.
Okay. So
Really?
Yeah. I
so
was a guitar guy.
Did you
transporting
start it?
that guitar around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did it were you actually we had some theft stories. We've had a few
Oh.
was it a pain in the ass? Did you
Huge pain in the ass.
find being a musical comic like you couldn't wait to shed the guitar?
There was
and-
there's a huge reason that I stopped doing musical comedy.
Because you got to bring all your shit.
You got to bring your gear. You got to show up early. You don't know if the club's got the right equipment. You don't know if their
Yeah.
sound guy's got a DI box.
You
don't
actually
know-
have to have a
Right.
sound check. You know, you get
Yeah.
like as a comic, you get like, you want to do a sound check? I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I don't.
you
As
tap-
long as
yeah.
the mic works, I'm
Right.
good. you know?
Yeah, my first minute on stage is my sound check.
Exactly.
I literally, and you
If I
can even
tap
make it
the
funny
mic-
if you have to, or
Yeah.
like, why is this working?
Yeah.
Whatever you can. Yeah.
But it was a huge pain in the ass. I mean, Stephen Lynch is like one of my heroes, one of the most amazing music
he's brilliant.
comedians. Like I met him at a show in Buffalo, and he's the one to turn me on to music comic because he found out I was a guitarist. He's like, yeah, colleges pay a shit ton of money for musical
Yeah.
comics,
Mhm.
which was fine if you're doing a show at a college and turning around and leaving. But like on the road, if I'm going to a club, and
Yeah.
I'm out on the road for fucking 3-4 weeks at a time,
Mhm.
and again, it's my early days, so I didn't have a huge chunk of material. It was like
Mhm.
music could take up 15 minutes of my act,
And then what else?
and then
Yeah.
I gotta fucking stretch out the 4
Yeah.
bits that I have.
Yeah.
But then I got to a club and they didn't have a sound guy, or
Yeah.
their other input didn't work, or for whatever technical reason the guitar wasn't going to happen. I'm like, well, there's half my set, and I wasn't good enough at the time to go, well, I've got another 30. Like now I can walk into a club and they're like, hey, do you want to do 20 minutes? Yes, I can fucking
Yeah.
pull 20 minutes
Very
out of my back
freeing, isn't it? that
Yes,
You don't have to.
pocket. But like when I had if I was traveling around with a guitar,
It was your like you had to have it
Right.
because if you lose it, then you're
Yes.
fucked, right?
yeah. and then I got to worry about how, like, is my voice going to be okay to sing? Have I been drinking? I was smoking at the
Mm.
time, so that was
Right.
hard, and I was tuning things down. But then if I was like playing with my band, I had to tune it a different way. it was a shit show. Like I love music comedy if it's good. Like
Right.
Stephen Lynch, fantastic.
Yeah.
Comics who know 4 chords and play parodies, fucking
Yeah, like 'cause
hate it.
I see, because I
It's fucking
yeah.
the worst shitty comedy. Do you do that?
No, 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 no.
Do you do that? Because I'll fucking beat you with this microphone right now. I will strangle you with this
No, no,
microphone.
no.
I just realized that I look like a musical
Yeah, he
comedian.
does look like a
He does.
No, definitely not.
No, what that's what I was gonna ask, because it's like I don't know who Stephen Lynch is,
Okay.
so I haven't. So, but yeah, the only musical comedy that I know is the one that you just described.
Yeah.
When the one that I've seen is like Brian, and then
Yeah.
say that which is kind of like you're not doing music. It's
Right.
more like you're pairing your jokes with something else.
Stephen Lynch was a classically trained musician who is unbelievably talented on a guitar. He might
Yeah.
as well be the Eddie Van Halen of guitar
Oh,
comedy.
wow.
He's very funny. He does one-man shows. as
He does
well.
one-man shows. He was
So,
actually
he's
he
very
stopped
good.
doing comedy for a while because he got the lead in the Broadway production of Wedding Singer.
Oh wow! That's
So he's an
cool.
amazing singer, an incredible songwriter, a great musician, and an unbelievable guitarist.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and as a guitarist, I mean,
Yeah.
I played in bands. I have literally 44 guitars. I grew up.
43. I'm taking one.
Please, they sit literally sitting on my bed.
Great.
grew
I
up-
can't wait to see the Francisco Ramos musical act.
No, I want to
He's got
take it
three-
just to have.
He's got
it.
3 chords.
I'm not gonna use it. I'm gonna be like, this was owned by Thom Tran.
Oh, you could do a great song about
But
words.
yeah, but as a musician, like an actual musician, like I grew up watching Eddie Van Halen and Richie Sambora and Steve Vai. And
Yeah,
Joe
you know
Satriani.
music.
Yeah, I was a shredder. So when I see not just
Bang.
comedians, anyone who's just like, I know 4 chords and I can play most of the songs from the 80s. All right, cool, but don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like-
that's the thing I think with stand up too. Like I think when people like that are not stand up or whatever, they see stuff and they're like, oh, I can do that or whatever, and then as when we're, stand ups, I've done it, professionally like us for a long time, it's like we see stand up and we see somebody doing it and we're not laughing, but we know, oh, they did that.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool how they took this, like we,
Right.
which is what I feel like, professional musicians do when they hear a song or they just go like they're just listening to other stuff that I'm not even
Right.
paying attention to, like, oh, why the way that they did this stuff and the bridge or whatever, all this stuff, which I think is what you see, what you're saying,
yeah, I mean, Steven and maybe Bo Burnham are the only comics I can think of off the top of my
Bob
head.
is also
Yeah.
Bob Orton is
Or-
also, oh yeah, because he's a
Yeah,
pianist.
he's a pianist.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, a very funny musician actually comes to my mind because Ben Folds is hilarious live.
Yeah.
and it's quite.
John
quite
Mayer
funny
is
when I-
fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
so there's
too.
so there's a lot
Weirdly, and that
comedy,
upsets me.
But they're
so much.
professional,
They're
but
professional
they're mostly
musicians.
yes.
musicians. Yes,
But
and they're not calling themselves stand-ups. I mean,
they wouldn't call themselves stand-up.
No.
I don't think
Even
Stephen
though
Lynch
John
has ever.
Mayer
I've never
did.
heard Stephen Lynch call himself stand-up. I know that I've seen a couple of his
Yeah.
one-man shows and stuff, but he's just a unique entity.
he's an incredible. Like he's got a special that he shot at the what's that place over on Wilshire? Not the Wiltern. It's a little closer to like the La Brea Tar Pits.
no idea.
Okay. Anyway, so he shot a special down there, and it's fantastic. I love it. But
Troubadour.
no, but like for me as a musician, if you're going to use and it sounds
An
shitty.
instrument.
Yeah, if you're gonna use an
Make
instrument,
know about it.
be proficient at it.
Yeah.
Because for me, when you play 4 chords or just play 1 chord and talk over it, then it's a prop.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
it's
no,
just
yeah,
a prop.
yeah,
I think this is kind of the point that we want to get to with the traveling and everything because that's
I
just it.
stopped
That
doing it
value of
because of-
having that
yeah.
guitar on the road with you has to be an ultimate
Yes.
trump card, and then you discard it, you get that freedom, and you're like, okay, these words and not having to haul this thing and
Yeah.
pay excise charges every time I go on a plane or anything like that is a huge benefit.
It's
So-
literally a weight off my shoulder
yeah,
because I'm not
entirely.
hauling around this guitar and this cable and pedals and tuners and whatever.
Yeah,
Like I literally have an $11,000 acoustic guitar that's like when I play out with my band and I'm making money with my band,
yeah.
Right.
Man.
then it's worth it. But if I'm
But you're working. You got hired to
Right.
play.
but if I'm hauling out a multi-$1,000 guitar to do stand up, it's not like
yeah.
yeah,
unless I'm doing an entire set of music, which
yeah.
at one point I thought
For
about.
a specific show or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, I think so. I wanted to also go back and traveling because you were traveling the GIS of Comedy, like with traveling with like, is it 4 people that were in it or 5 or?
There are as many as 14 now.
But
and
when you would travel at at every for a tour, it would be like
I
what?
would pick. I'd send out teams of 4 or 6.
Oh, so you would do
right.
a different team.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Depending on like, is it going to be an army base? Is it going to be an Air Force base? Is it going to
okay.
be some if it's a base that I was stationed at and I want to get back there, I'll go. If it's an Air Force base, I'll send Jose. If we're going to a Navy base, I'll send the Navy guys.
So I was gonna ask, like, in terms of traveling as a group, like, is like how, was it how annoying or how hard it is to like?
It's the worst shit in the world.
Okay.
Right.
Like people say hurting comedians is like hurting cats. It is not. Because
Well, these cats are nice.
I can open a can of tuna, my cats will come running.
Yeah,
The amount of cocaine and hookers I need
Right.
to fucking wrangle comedians
Yeah.
is
You're opening a can of tuna and they're like,
Yeah.
I'm not hungry, man.
Yeah. Plus I got 2 vegans on the fucking tour with me. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're definitely not eating tuna. But it's I think one of the reasons I got burned out from being on the road.
Yeah.
I've talked to Enrique about this.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't
It's
just a
tough being
comic.
on the road. You were
I was
a
the-
manager,
I was
a
the
road,
manager,
a road manager.
The producer, the travel agent, the dietitian. Because again,
Yeah, and that's annoying too because I feel like you can't even concentrate on that much on your stand up because
can't.
like you're dealing with all the other stuff and it's like you can't actually.
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And then I got burned out.
Yeah.
I really I got to the point where like I don't want to travel anymore.
Mhm.
And I would send out the teams without me. I would literally 2 overseas tours. I was like, guys, go without me because I can't.
Mm.
I was also running things back here. There was
Yeah, you were like organizing the administrative stuff, but you
Yeah.
weren't like at least over there like dealing with all the
Right.
little everyday stuff.
I sent a group to Iraq. I sent them to Afghanistan. And while they were gone, I got a call from the Pentagon. They were like, "Oh, hey, we have an Iraq tour for you." I was like, "They're not even back from Afghanistan yet."
Wow.
And had I been there with them, that would have fallen onto a voicemail that I would have gotten 2 weeks later after I got back. So again, I'm not doing the comedy part of the comedy business. I was doing the business part of the comedy business.
yeah.
But also while I'm on the road, while I'm traveling,
Yeah.
I was so stressed out, I couldn't write because I wasn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just running the tour.
Yeah.
And then get on stage for 20 minutes, go back to my hotel room, go to sleep.
Work and stuff.
So
and,
the road wasn't
It wasn't fun, yeah. I know it was funny because that's the thing I think we talk about with comics and stuff like that, like how to make it fun to being on the road, like stuff that you do, where you were saying that you like to, you plan your tour doing like the NHL, but I think that's the key. I think it's got to be fun to be on the road, especially because as a comic, you were doing a group tour, but like when you're by yourself, that's it's tougher,
right?
And if you're doing all that stuff, plus not even like having,
not even getting to go see the things I wanted to see.
Yeah, then it just becomes like then it just becomes like, why am I even doing this kind of?
But
thing.
also, I was married for the last 5 years.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, I just got divorced, but it's like I didn't want to be away from my wife. I bought a house.
Yeah,
I like my cats. I like sleeping in my bed. I have a gym that that's one of the things. Like when I'm on the road,
there's no gyms.
Yeah, just to the psychological relief of working out.
Yeah,
like there was a gym. We were in North Dakota in May. There was a snowstorm, and the gym was a mile away from where we were staying. The only way to get there was to walk. So I had to run in the snow to the gym that wound up being closed.
Oh no!
Yeah,
like
so that was
Rocky.
part of it. Yeah, but also, when I was young and on the road, I was just fucking my way up and down the East Coast.
Yeah.
Don't sleep with that waitress. Well, now I'm gonna sleep with that waitress.
Yeah, you put it in a
Yeah,
comic's
it's
mind,
different.
they're not
Yeah.
gonna shake the.
Well, when
thought.
you're younger, it's different because it's like, and plus you have so much more energy too
Yeah.
to like fucking do
Oh,
everything.
We did a gig in Wyoming at 5:30, and we were in our hotel rooms at 7, and it was the most glorious thing. I was like, I'm gonna be asleep by 7:30, but I wasn't because they didn't fucking tell me that base was haunted. And the whole fucking night, I was like, I'm gonna fucking die in goddamn Wyoming.
Oh,
This
wow.
might
It
be
was.
the perfect. This might be the perfect segue to
Yeah.
the superstition
Yeah, that's what I was
question
gonna ask.
because
Yeah,
we
yeah.
do often ask. And now that you've mentioned that you feel that you were actually on a haunted base, because this is changing. Because I usually like to guess if our guests are
Okay.
superstitious while they travel, or not, like if you need a special item with you, a lucky item or something like that. And I was gonna guess no, but now that he's mentioned haunted base,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes. We are dealing with a superstitious traveling
Or do you
comedian.
bring,
here,
or
so.
another thing? Do you bring if you're not that, then do you bring anything sentimental or value with you when you travel?
I have 2 superstitions.
Okay, here we go.
Anytime I travel, really anytime I leave the house, I keep a challenge coin on me. And
Oh, I've got
you have
I've,
challenge
I
coins?
have.
I have literally dozens. I have more challenge coins from being a comedian than I do from being in the military.
What's a challenge coin?
So a challenge coin, we have a tradition in the military.
Which, by the way, I was funny because I was gonna describe it. And
Go ahead.
I was like, no, no,
no,
But
please,
I'm
I would
like-
like to hear this.
no,
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 Francisco.
I-
no, please, I would like to hear this.
No, but I stopped myself.
I genuinely would like to hear you describe
I
I
it.
have
stopped
an idea what
myself.
it is now.
No, I stopped myself because I was like, what are you doing? Like,
No,
His
but
lo-
I am genuinely, I would like to
no,
hear you
no,
describe
but you,
it.
I want you to know. I mean, it's just, I mean, I got
So
them.
it's a coin that you get when you challenge somebody.
No, when you
No.
go into, I mean, the base commander gives you the coin
Ah.
It
because
is
you as a, you know, because
in lieu of
yeah,
in lieu of giving like a medal or a ribbon,
Okay.
which is something that requires sometimes literally the act of Congress. To say here, good job for whatever you're doing. And it's not just for comedians or musicians. I mean, soldiers.
oh, they
like,
also get them.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, you know, you do a good job, and the Secretary of Defense happens to be at your base while you're, you know, you win whatever competition. In lieu of getting a medal, because you're not going to get a medal for
everything.
yeah, you'll get a coin from a commander or the Secretary of Defense or the president or the
Okay.
Joint Chiefs of Staff. So literally anybody can have a coin. Like I have my own personal challenge coins as a civilian, but usually it's commander on up. So captains, colonels on up. But
Right.
literally anybody can have a coin. And when you do a good job or to say thank you, you know, instead of giving you a big plaque, like I've got fucking plaques all over the place, but they'll just give you a coin. What they'll do is they'll shake your hand and they'll have the coin
That's
in their
true.
hand, and that's how they hand it off.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, wow.
so.
I wonder
yeah.
if I've received a challenge coin and then didn't think anything of it. Was like, what's this thing?
Well, at least the way we do it in the Army was you keep a challenge coin on you, and if you're out at a bar, and this is why it's called challenge coin, if someone throws down their coin, whoever has the highest ranking coin doesn't buy a round. Whoever has the lowest ranking coin buys a round. If you don't have a coin on you, you are fucked for the night. So
Right.
if I'm out here and you know out at a bar with a bunch of military guys and someone throws down like a colonel's coin, a full bird colonel's coin, well I pull out my 3-star because nobody in LA is going to beat a 3-star coin. So I got a coin I have several coins from 3-star generals.
Right.
I'm going to throw that down. But if I'm in DC, if I throw a 3-star coin down, that means dick because it's Washington DC.
Yeah.
Any swinging dick could have a coin from the president, the vice president, Joint
Yeah.
Chiefs of Staff. So
I got one from George Washington.
don't go
like,
drinking.
I never pay for drinks.
I have one from, I mean, my highest ranking coin is the Secretary of Defense, William Cohen. And I got it in a poker game from him.
Really?
Tokyo.
Wow.
Which is a fucking wild.
Because
fucking
you
story.
lost? He lost?
He lost.
And he gave
in a
you-
big way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was working at the embassy in Tokyo on a mission. And the embassy is headed by the Marines. There's a Marine detachment there. The Marines were playing poker every night. So I got in. It was me and a couple of Army guys, and we were playing poker with the Marines. Now, a bunch of servicemen drinking. We all have weapons on us. Probably not the best situation. So 3 dudes in black suits like come into our room, and all of a sudden we're like, everybody's fucking
Whoa.
like everybody's ready to go. Shotguns, whatever.
Right.
Here walks in Secretary of Defense William Cohen, and all of a sudden we're like, "Shit, sir!" Like where everybody's standing at attention.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's fucking 10:30 at night. What's the Secretary of Defense doing here? I guess he was in there for a fucking meeting or something somewhere. And he goes, "I hear there's a raging poker game." We're like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Can I get in on it?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." My buddy comes out of the other room with 3 bottles of like fucking vodka, and all he sees is like a bunch of dudes in black suits and us holding our weapons. He's like, "I don't know what's fucking going on here, but I'm leaving." So we're playing poker with the Secretary of Defense, and he is terrible. Or he's losing on purpose. I don't know.
Right.
But it's heads up, me and him. And he's got 2 pair, and I got a full house. He's like, all I got is my coin. I was like, I will take that.
Excellent.
So I didn't get it for the regular way, doing a
But
good
you
job.
still got it.
I still got
Hey,
it.
it still
Nice.
counts, baby.
So you have that coin, and
Is
then
that
what
the-
else? You
So
said you
yeah,
have another
2
superstitions.
superstitions.
Oh, yeah. So I keep a 3-star coin on me, and even this is on the road and here in LA. Anytime I perform, I only wear 2 pair of lucky socks. Like I don't go on
Really?
stage unless I'm wearing one of these.
That's
pairs.
super unique.
That's very athletic. Like
Well,
very like
Well,
like
frequently comics will say some sort of clothing. This is my first socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Answer. I haven't
true.
heard socks. I hear people have lucky shirts or a lucky belt or a watch.
I used to
or
do
something,
the
but
shirts
this
and
is-
stuff like that when I started, but then
Right.
I was like, wow.
But this is
This is-
very interesting.
but so-
How do you arrive
You're just
at these
washing
socks?
the same socks.
Do
all the
they
time?
do they happen to
Sometimes I
be
did
on
wash
your
them.
feet?
Oh,
Are they
no.
on your feet at a lucky time, or did you just decide these are the
But
most
is it the
comfortable?
same brand, or you just like have like 20 of those, or
The
same?
first pair of lucky socks were Buffalo Sabres socks
Okay.
that
Okay.
that I bought myself when I was home in Buffalo, and I was wearing them one night, and it was a set that I was like nervous to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I wound up just annihilating the room, and I was like, huh, that was cool. And then the next night, because I was on the road and I didn't have access to laundry,
Yeah.
and I wore them again, crushed.
Wow.
So I was like, huh.
Gotta be the socks.
Well, I tried an experiment. I did not wear the socks that night, and it was the most mediocre, like
Wow.
meh. I was like,
and that's how
"Hmm."
it starts. Yeah.
So
that's,
the
uh,
next
a
gig,
mental
I
thing.
wore those socks, and then I fucking killed.
Wow.
So I would only wear, and I wore those socks on stage for like years until they were literally falling off
Yeah.
my feet.
without washing them, you mean?
I would,
No,
I mean,
you
I would
had to
eventually have
wash
to
'em.
wash them,
Okay,
but I
but-
could be on the road literally.
Or
for a
sorry,
month.
sometimes you would go between gigs without washing them.
Yeah,
though.
because
if,
I
if
had
you
no choice.
Because you're only having 2 pairs. You got
Well, now I have 2 pairs.
now you have right.
But originally it was one
So
pair of
which-
Buffalo Sabre socks,
yeah,
and
okay.
I wore them to death. Like they are. I had a burial ceremony for them. There were fucking holes. Like years I wore these socks. on
Wait,
stage.
and aren't girls going like, wait, why do you keep wearing the same socks? What's going on? Like,
Did you see me on stage
I
tonight,
know.
baby?
They
They're,
didn't,
they're
after I fucking
distracted.
killed,
didn't
they
happen.
Yeah,
Okay,
nobody's.
okay.
No,
no,
as long as my
no,
pants were coming off, it
no,
didn't matter.
yeah, no woman's
I'm sorry,
gonna be
like
concerned.
a repeated girl that you saw that'd be like, hey, you know.
I
keep
think I
wearing
was
the
single.
same
I was
socks.
single at the time.
Oh, okay.
But now, okay, yeah, I was single at the time when I had those Sabre socks. And eventually, like I was nervous for
That
a
would
long
be funny
time.
telling a girlfriend, "No, I'm not putting on different socks. My first love is the stage,
yeah.
darling. I don't want to. I'm not cheating on her.
It'd
Fuck
be
you."
funny, be like, look, it's between me and the socks, and he's like, it's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's like,
See you later.
or Seinfeld. Like, I'm gonna go for the socks.
But I went like 6 months without lucky socks, and it was nerve wracking every time because.
But you
it
did
was-
good.
I did okay. There were a couple of like good nights, but I couldn't repeat the process until I found. I'm a big comic book fan, DC Comics specifically. I'm a big Flash fan.
Okay.
So I found a pair of Flash socks, and
Right.
it was a 2-pack, pair of red with the black Flash, and a pair of black and red with the yellow.
This is a great superstition. by
Yeah,
the way.
I
This
mean,
is a
very, very
Yeah,
specific.
for a man who's taken a sniper bullet to the head to go, but then I won't go on stage
I
without my
won't.
lucky Flash
I
socks.
won't go on stage without wearing the Flash socks. They have their own space in my drawer.
Wow.
So when I have my regular gym socks and my going out
what
socks.
about if you have to do a one in the beach?
Oh, I will wear my socks on the beach.
Oh,
Don't
you
think I
will?
won't.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I tried this one thing one time where because I have 2 pairs. There's the black and the red. I wore one black and one red just to see what happened.
Yeah.
And the left side of the room killed. Right side of the room.
Nah,
did
come
not.
on. All right. Nah,
No, but
I'd have been like, okay, this is getting. I think I'm going like, all right, now you have to go to a therapist because you're just just imagining shit now.
but those are my I will not go on stage whether I'm doing stand up or playing with my band without wearing my lucky socks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a night
Interesting that
where
you got it down to 2.
I do
as
have-
well.
yeah,
That's-
luckily.
that's a very small number, I would think.
yeah, because it was I got the pair on together, and there was a night where up at Levity because you
Yeah.
know they have the bar next door.
Yeah.
I opened for Nemmer at at
Uh-huh.
7 o'clock. I did a set, got
On
changed.
which one? Irvine?
At Oxnard.
Oxnard.
I did a set, did stand up, 20 minutes, opened for Nemmer. Walked next door, got changed, got on stage with my band, and then the socks were so fucking
Wet.
soaked
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
like jumping around for an hour playing rock and roll. I had to put on the other pair of socks and go back to the comedy club and do stand up again, and then go back and do another set with my
Wow.
band.
Wow.
But yeah, lucky socks. on my
Lucky
challenge
sucks.
card.
And then, we're almost getting to the end, but I wanted to ask because you were traveling so much as, because of comedy, music, and military. Is there anything that you have taken from other parts of the world that you would love to bring back to the U.S., like a custom or like a thing or like a cultural thing or, that,
Yeah, anything traditional from another country
you'd be like, "Oh."
that you've borne witness to, and you're going, I wish they would do more of this in America.
The food in Italy and Spain,
Ah.
fucking amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like we went to Naples. They took us to dinner in Naples, and it was a legit 10-course
Yeah.
meal. And I was like, I literally cannot eat anymore, guys. They're like, but here's the dessert pizza.
Yeah,
We just had a dessert pizza. They're like, but this is another one. We're like, we are grown men who can't.
It's
eat
called
anymore.
dessert pizza. Why? It's too thin.
Yeah.
It's too thin.
Now is that down to the ingredients or
I think
or that
or
the
the-
style of
yeah,
the approach of it
that's a
being
good
all
question.
these small meals
Yeah.
and
I
stuff
think-
like that? It's like
Because I'm gonna like just quickly interrupt you, but like I feel like in Italy and Spain, because it's I'm from Venezuela and we have like a very obviously Spanish.
just like Italy.
No, but it's like a lot of immigration and influence of the
Yeah.
culture,
No
and like
dessert
food
pizza,
is
though.
very like important.
Right,
You
right.
know, it's like a sit down with a meal,
Yes.
which is like when I move here, and the complete opposite is the U.S. is like it's lunch and quick, it's
Yeah.
fast, like
Yeah.
lunch, like blah, 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 you gotta go quick. You eat in your
Yeah.
desk, and so.
I do think it was a lot of that very, like we all sat down. It was a leisurely, like they were not in a rush. They were
Yes.
just like, here's the first course. An hour and a half later, here's the third course. An hour
Right.
later after that, here's the seventh course. I'm like, guys, we can't. We have a
Yeah.
show tomorrow.
yeah,
Like, I can't keep doing this.
that full immersive experience.
But it was but it was also delicious.
Yes.
It was not
Fresh,
like,
and
it
it's
was fresh.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything tasted like it popped in your mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
It nothing seemed processed.
Yes.
It was just so flavorful and delicious. And it wasn't like they brought us pizza and we're like, we're Americans, we have pizza. We never had
Yeah,
pizza
yeah.
like this
It's
before.
another,
Yeah,
yeah.
you hear
Um,
that, America? You need to eat better. I think
Yeah,
Americans
More
are
fresh, more
generally-
fresh
Yeah, yeah,
stuff,
eat
and,
food.
and relax and take your time.
Yeah,
and have fun.
siestas. Oh, siestas.
Oh,
Bring
yeah.
those back.
Yeah,
Bring those
yeah.
over here. I'll take
Those are great. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's
I
a
mean, the
cool-
meals and portions are huge. My parents are very sweet because when they do the snowbird thing from Canada, so you
Yeah,
come
down
down
to
for
Florida.
the winter months, and my mom is always like, "Oh, honey, it's America. I just let your father order, and I have some of his." And that's all they do because they know
Yeah,
that it's
portions
just
are
going to be
gigantic.
this big,
Yeah, yeah.
gross one-off
Yeah.
portions.
yeah, yeah,
Death
yeah.
by chocolate.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
This is
And,
fun, guys.
Man, yeah, it
I'm
was a
gonna go
lot
back
of
to bed.
fun. I gotta say, I'm absolutely in awe of you, especially like from the start of this podcast, like just your life story, like from with your father being a prisoner of war, and then refugee status coming over to America, boat people for lack of a better term, so impressive, and then choosing to serve the country that you grew up in. I mean, your story's blown my mind, man, and we can't thank you enough for joining
Yeah.
us on the podcast. I mean, Francisco, if you don't have anything else to ask, him,
No,
might
no.
as
I mean,
well-
I
Please
think,
tell me
just-
about
we
challenge
have-
coins.
about
we
what
have
challenge
coins.
coins. Yeah. No.
we what we do have, Tom, on the way out the door, we always ask our guests if they have one final piece of like travel advice that maybe your family could have handed down to you, or that you learned yourself, or
He
basically.
kind of gave us one.
anything.
Don't fly dry.
Yeah,
you know.
well,
But
yeah.
if you
I
have
mean,
another
I've
one,
learned. I've learned tons off
Yeah.
him tonight.
but if you have another one, just like that people can be like, hey, when you travel, take
yeah,
this. Or
and
do
if you
this.
find Buffalo Saber socks, you're gonna
Or Flash.
You'll have a good
Or the
show, or
Flash.
the Flash.
Or the Flash.
There'll be good luck.
You know what? I've always been that guy that got to the airport way early.
yeah,
Like just
Right.
it's kind of me.
like
Yeah, I
don't,
like that.
why
too.
are you rushing? yeah, there could be a problem when you get there or whatever, but like
Relax.
just the amount of stress that already goes into traveling, like
Chill.
really
Relax,
chill.
yeah.
Like go fucking get a bite to eat.
I like that. I was like, I prefer to get there early, and yeah, like chill, eat, because like it's always that pressure of like, I wanna like it's already.
Eliminating that stress
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so valuable.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. It's
You
always
know how you
worth
eliminate
it.
the stress? Get a Tesla. Or fucking drive wherever you
There
gotta
we
go.
go.
There it is.
I think.
Oh,
they're
and
sending them to
quickly
us.
for
Also, you can use my Tesla referral code. You get 1,000 free supercharger
Nice.
There
miles.
it is.
but also where
I'm giving you it, and you better link it in the description.
I do, yeah. I will use it. But like also where people can find you in social media, and also if you have any upcoming shows, anything like that you want to share.
My website is thomtran.com, and my name is spelled THOMTRAN. Or you can spell it the regular way because I own both websites.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Everything is _ Thom Tran, THOMTRAN on the Twitters and the Instagrams. I'm verified, so just type it in and you'll find me. I'm going to be at the Factory and Flappers. Flappers is open. Have you been
Yes,
over on
it
Fla-
is. It is.
I went over there
saw
last
that.
night. At some point, Josh said to send him emails, and
Mhm.
I haven't yet because it's my mental health day. and I don't wanna do it. I'm at the Factory all the time because it's my home club. I'll be in Buffalo in July. I'm actually doing Helium with Adam Ray.
Oh, nice.
So that's my
Cool.
first road gig post-pandemic.
Great, and you can see your family. I mean,
Yeah, it's fine.
it's after
Yeah.
the season's over. You can watch it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's
you
July,
can talk to
so,
them.
But yeah, I'll be in Buffalo in
Buffalo
July.
didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
It was terrible. It was off. Being a Sabres fan is like being in an abusive relationship. It's
There
like
you go.
starts great, and then at the end you're like, he didn't mean to hurt me.
I understand.
Like, he just got angry and drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in LA a lot. Like I said, I'm not big on traveling
No,
these
yeah.
days. And when I do, it's going to be for like long chunks. Oh, United States of Al on CBS.
Yes, June
24th.
24th. So check it out.
Got picked up for a second season.
Nice.
Excellent.
So I got a.
Congrats.
This was a 1-episode co-star, and hopefully I will be
They
back.
can bring
for
you back
more.
as long as they don't kill you. You're good. I mean,
it got picked up for a second season. No, I didn't get killed in the episode.
I mean, especially in a comedy would be weird. Right?
It'd be weird.
Like you got killed in a multi-cam. It's like why?
No, yeah, hopefully I'll be back for the second season.
Great.
But yeah, it was fun. Everybody on the show was really great.
Nice.
Awesome.
I'll tell you some cool stuff once we
Awesome.
turn off the cameras. But
Well,
Great.
Well, thank you very much for being a guest
Yes.
here at your own home.
yeah, this was fun. In my,
I guess.
I like that my dining room table's in the middle of my living room, like
Yes.
next to my TV.
I like
pulled
I
it
might
off.
just leave it here. I
Yeah,
won't.
There we go. Thom Tran, ladies and gentlemen, and that's our first time on the road.
On the
hanging
road.
out with
Yeah.
somebody. So
Thank you for having us. Remember to subscribe, listen to all the, all
yeah,
our
do
channels,
the
all the
things,
Instagram,
pushing
all
the
the
buttons
stuff.
and the likes and stuff.
Use
Buy
my referral code if you're gonna buy a Tesla. You get 1,000 free miles. I get 1,000 free miles. It's like that. I've gotten 6 people to buy Teslas.
Really?
Enrique.
Wait a minute.
I'll
I
buy
thought
one.
it was battery operated. Aren't the miles free?
Yeah.
Anyway?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
you
you
get-
superchargers.
You get 5. Yeah, you
All
get
right,
like
let's get out of here before the
Okay.
Tesla files start doing their
Bye.
thing. See you guys later.